The VapePassion Show, episode 66. First, we're going to do an e-juice review for Creme de la Creme's Vanilla Cream. And then we're going to talk about the anti-vaping U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy being fired. First impressions of the Wismec Predator 228. A new device on the market called Kangar's 5.6, which has 5 batteries. Congressman Duncan Hunter proposes a bill to differentiate vaping from smoking. And a CDC study showing that vaping is the most popular product to quit smoking. Hey, welcome back to the VapePassion Show. This is episode 66, and I'm recording this on Sunday, April 23rd. So this week has been probably one of the most productive weeks I've had in a really long time. The weather's getting nice, and it's time to do some spring cleaning around the house. So I don't really do a lot of cleaning myself, but I do all the repairs, things like that. So I started this week by going to Home Depot and getting some shelving for my basement. I haven't put any of that up yet, but man, that's going to be a chore. My basement is a mess. So first I have to clean it up before getting the shelves together. But I really can't wait because, like I said, my basement is a mess and it drives me nuts. So I really can't wait to get some shelves up so I can finally start putting some things away. And then last week I spent a couple of days doing some yard work, probably 3 hours each night pulling weeds and then dethatching the lawn with a dethatching rake, and then pulling up large amounts of dead lawn because some of my lawn just didn't come back this year. So I had to pull some of that up, put some grass seeds down, and this is the first time I've ever done grass seeds. So I hope it works. I don't really have a good feeling about it though. But yeah, my lawn looks like crap. And then also this week I bought a new dishwasher. Well, actually an old dishwasher. It's a secondhand dishwasher, but new to me, I suppose. It's pretty old though, but the guy was only asking for $50 and we really needed one, so I just said, screw it, I'm going to buy it. But I spent the night cleaning it out after I bought it and then installing it the next night. And being that it was secondhand, I had a lot of cleaning to do, and we have really hard water in the city that we live in. So, and that's actually where we bought it, from someone who lives in our city. So he also has hard water, and everything gets a lot of mineral buildup. We have to constantly soak our faucet filters in like Lime-A-Way or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, we just get really bad water deposits. You know, people go through water heaters like crazy out here. Everyone has to get water softeners. It really sucks. So yeah, I had to spend a lot of time cleaning the dishwasher, and the filter that was in there, it was like totally plugged. So that took some time, but I think I got it all clean now and it seems to be working okay. And then at the end of the week, it was kind of nice because after doing all this work all week, it rained. We got a lot of rain Thursday and Friday. So I pretty much just relaxed, stayed in the house and watched some movies. And well, you know, as much relaxing as you can do with a 3-year-old. So I guess none really. And then this weekend, me, my wife, and my daughter, we all went to visit my wife's sister. And then all weekend we just watched movies and played a bunch of VR. And my wife's sister, she has a crazy HTC Vive VR setup. And if you don't know what an HTC Vive is, it's pretty much the best VR system you can get. It's really, really expensive, and it's pretty much top of the line. You know, you can expect to spend a couple of $1,000s just on the VR setup and the computer that you need to run it, but really cool. So mostly I just played 2 games. I played a game called Richie's Plank Experience, which is basically like a quick game of facing your fear of heights. You go up an elevator up to the top of a building and of a skyscraper, and then the elevator doors open up to just a plank that leads off of the building down to the city below. And my wife's sister and her boyfriend, they actually built a plank that you walk on to take this experience to the extreme. And they even purposely made the plank wobbly so that it adds to that scariness. Now it might seem funny if you've never played VR before, but I'm telling you, it's crazy. Even though I know it's fake and the whole VR world is just kind of cartoony, I couldn't bring myself to walk that plank. And it's funny because I went into it thinking like this wasn't a big deal. And I've played VR before, and I wasn't scared at all. But when I actually went up to the top of that building and saw that plank and stepped on that plank, I couldn't do it. And I've always had a really strong fear, an extreme fear of heights. Like, I don't even like to be on the second floor of a mall and looking over the edge there. That's how bad it is. So this one was hard for me, and my wife actually had to take my arm and walk me across. It was a little embarrassing, but pretty funny. And They recorded some video of it. My wife's sister, she always records video of everyone playing her VR stuff. So all those videos are online for all of her friends to share with their friends and get embarrassed about. And mine's up there. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to watch it. And if you're watching this, the podcast on YouTube where I record video also, I'll also throw in some clips of that. So that was that game. Then I played Paranormal Activity, which is a new game they just came out with. And that one was a lot more fun for me. Now, I don't really get scared with games like that because I grew up playing survival horror games, like Resident Evil, and watching really gory horror movies. My mom watched horror movies for as long as I can remember, at least as far back as when I was 5 years old. That's as far back as I can remember. And if she was letting me watch them at 5, she was probably watching them ever since I was born. But anyway, I played that game for 3 hours and I beat it. And it was a lot of fun. Creepy for sure. And there was definitely some parts of the game where I felt the hair raise on my arms, but I didn't scream or anything like that. Like a lot of the funny videos of this game you see on YouTube. My wife screamed though. It scared the crap out of her. That was pretty funny. I have my own Samsung Gear VR headset, which came with my phone, which is awesome. But if you get the chance to try out something like the HTC Vive or an Oculus Rift or the new PS4 VR stuff, you should definitely check it out. Unless you have motion sickness, because at first especially, it can really make you pretty dizzy. All right, so that's been my week. Let's get into the show. First, I'm going to start out with an e-juice review. So this is Creme de la Creme's Vanilla Cream. So I've reviewed some of this stuff before from Creme de la Creme, not this flavor. Creme de la Creme is a line produced by MarinaVape.com. They gave me this bottle in exchange for a review earlier last year, and I'm finally getting around to doing it. So before I reviewed their caramel apple flavor from this line, and I really, really liked it, and I still vape it all the time. So I have a really good feeling about this one. So their description of this says that this is a sweet, delicate blend of French vanilla bean, sweet custard, and light whipped cream. It's a 30 PG, 70 VG e-juice. The nicotine levels are 0, 3, 6, and 12, and I got 3 milligrams nicotine. So I will be vaping it on the iStick 100 watt TC on the Faro RDA, and let's see, 55 watts. That sounds like a good place to start with this device. Yeah, the flavor is pretty good. Let's see. Vanilla, sweet custard, and light whipped cream. Vanilla is very light, and the custard is very light. And obviously the whipped cream is light. Usually when whipped cream is used, you can barely taste it. It's just a little hint there. So I am getting all of these flavors in here, but it's hard to explain. It's a light flavor, but it's also pretty sweet, like everything else that Marina Vape makes. But everything that I've tried from these guys, I like. And that's just me because I really like sweet e-juice, and it's a milder flavor, so I kind of like that too. It's not too strong. It seems like something I could vape over and over, just like their other flavors, like that caramel apple from Creme de la Creme line too. Pretty good stuff. So Marina Vape doesn't sell directly to consumers, so you'll need to search online for vendors who sell it. It's kind of expensive. I see that directvapor.com sells a 30 ml bottle for $18.95, so it is on the higher end there. Yeah, if you're looking for something to pick up, a more premium e-juice, I'd definitely say go pick it up. Go try it out. Okay, now let's talk about what's probably the biggest news of the week, or of last week. Vivek Murthy, the anti-vaping U.S. Surgeon General, has been fired. If you don't already know, Vivek Murthy is widely disliked within the vaping community. Even after having received the Public Health England's report showing that vaping is 95% safer than smoking, he still released a scathing report, the Surgeon General's report, last year claiming that e-cigarettes were dangerous. His report mainly focused on risks to youth, but it didn't talk at all about how many adults are using electronic cigarettes to quit smoking. And in various interviews, he also regularly refers to electronic cigarettes as tobacco products, which it clearly isn't. I think we were all kind of wondering when the Trump administration was going to finally get around to replacing Vivek Murthy with one of their own choices. And that day finally came last week on Friday, April 21st. So in a statement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, they stated that Vivek Murthy, quote, was asked to resign from his duties as Surgeon General after assisting in a smooth transition into the new Trump administration, end quote. It's not really clear yet why he was replaced, and I don't know if I'll ever know the reason, but some people are saying it was because of Murthy's anti-vaping report, and other people point out that it might have been because of Murthy's views on gun legislation. He's been very open about calling for gun control. He will continue to serve as a member of the Commission Corps, and the United States Public Health Service Commission Corps is a federal uniformed service of the U.S. Public Health Service. The mission statement of the Commission Corps is in, quote, protecting, promoting, and advancing the health and safety of the nation, end quote. So the Commission Corps, they're led by the Surgeon General, formerly Vivek Murthy. Now, I don't know what Vivek Murthy's role will be in his new position, but his new leader is now Rear Admiral Sylvia Trent Adams, who is now the acting U.S. Surgeon General. They were really quick to replace Murthy on social media too. Sylvia Trent Adams' picture and name were already on the Surgeon General's Twitter profile and Facebook page the same day as the announcement. So a little bit about Trent Adams. She has a doctoral degree and a Master of Science in Nursing and Health Policy. She has served in the Public Health Service Corps for over 24 years, and she was formerly the Chief Nurse Officer for the Department of Health and Human Services and a nurse officer in the Army. Now, Surgeon Generals, they don't actually have a lot of power, but their position does offer them the ability to have a lot of influence. So the big question now is if Trent Adams will be any better for the vaping industry. I can't really find anything in regards to her thoughts on electronic cigarettes, so we'll just have to wait and see. And also, they've made it pretty clear that she is the acting Surgeon General, which sounds to me like she might be replaced at any time. All right, now let's talk about my first impressions of the Wismic Predator 228. So heavengifts.com sent this to me for review, so I want to thank them for sending this to me. It's a 228 watt device with temperature control for nickel, titanium, and stainless steel. And I've seen actually quite a few reviews of this, and people are complaining about things like the wattage jumping around, the casing coming loose, like the casing here on the sides, the battery door being flimsy, and there's also a lot of reports of the 510 pin falling out, or the 510 connection falling out. I haven't experienced any issues with anything on this breaking yet, but I also haven't really used it enough to say that it won't happen in the future. Now, as for the wattage changing, that actually has happened to me quite a few times. I'll go to hit the device, and all of a sudden I'll see it at a random number like 78 when I previously had it at something like 100 watts. I really don't know why it's doing that, but it only seems to do it when I try to fire it at a wattage too high for the charge that's left in the batteries. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what it seems like to me. Now, as for the battery door being flimsy, that's totally true. The battery door kind of sucks. For a device that feels and looks as high quality as this, they really skimped on the battery door. It's hard to open, it's flimsy and weak, and it's also hard to close when batteries are put in. I can see this possibly breaking over time. Now, as for the quality materials, it's actually pretty nice. It feels really solid and durable. And the button is nice and clicky too. The one drawback of the button though is that I don't always get a good click. I'll find that if I don't put a lot of pressure all the way on the top of the button, up here at the top, which is where the button really is, it's up here, I'll misfire. And there have been a lot of times where I'm taking a hit and it'll just stop firing. I would say it's mostly user error on my part, but I would have liked for the button to be a little bit more responsive. As for temp control, I haven't even used it yet, so I don't know. I would assume that it works because, you know, most devices with temp control work these days. The biggest drawback of the Predator 228 is that the 510 connection breaks. Now, it hasn't happened to me, but there are reports all over the place of this happening. It's even happened to Mike Vapes and DJ LSB, so it seems like it's happening because the 510, and here I'll show you, if you're watching this on video, you can see. So this outer piece where the atomizer connects to the device, if you jiggle it or pull it out, like if you pull on the atomizer, the whole piece can come out and it'll still be attached to your atomizer. So, and the reason that people are saying this happened is because the 510 connection is press fitted and it's not actually threaded into the device. People are saying that they're fixing it with metal glue. This shouldn't be happening in the first place, but if you've already bought one, at least you know you can fix it with some glue. It's a crappy fix, but you know, if you spent the money to buy one of these and you can't return it, which happens with a lot of cases, you know, with the devices from China, they don't have very good warranties. It's hard to get a hold of a lot of places. But if you bought it from a reputable dealer, then hopefully you can get it returned and get your money back. Now, as far as looks go, I think this thing looks awesome. It's small, it's sleek, and it has a nice finish. The small size is something that I really like about this. It's one of the smallest dual battery devices I've seen. And with an RDA on top, it's really pocket friendly. I've been rocking the Icon RDA from Mike Vapes on top, and I think this looks absolutely amazing. That's just my own opinion, but I love it. Unless something breaks on here, this is going to be my go-to from now on. Or maybe I should say until something breaks on here, because people are reporting that the 510 is falling out like just about every day. So it seems like it's just a matter of time. I'm totally expecting it to fall out on here, but we'll see. If it wasn't for that, this thing would be great. All right, now let's talk about a device from Kanger. So Kanger's new 5.6 mod has 5 batteries. Kanger is now taking pre-orders for a device called the 5.6, which is a 5 battery mod. The interesting thing about this device, though, is that it still only pushes 222 watts. So you might be wondering why a 5 battery mod only pushes 200 watts. And yeah, I thought the same thing until I started really thinking about it and seeing what other people were saying. So there are some potential benefits of this. For one, the device can be used as a power bank, which means you can charge other devices with it, like your phone or tablet. It actually has a full-size USB port on it rather than a mini USB like most mods. So that's a good reason for 5 batteries, I would say. And having 5 batteries means that the device will hold a charge for a really long time. If you vape low wattages, say for example 20 to 50 watts, you probably won't have to recharge your batteries for a couple of weeks maybe. If you vape at high wattages, say for example higher than 100 watts, you'll probably get a couple of days out of the 5.6 before having to recharge it. This would be much better than carrying around spare batteries in your pocket, like a lot of people do and shouldn't. It doesn't look too bad from the images that I've seen, but it all depends on your personal preference. I've seen people say that it looks too square, or calling it an abomination, ugly, or hopefully an April Fool's joke. So a lot of people don't like it. I don't think it looks all that great either, but you know, it's not terrible. You know, some reviewers have already done a review of the 5.6. One of the more trustworthy reviewers being Phil Basardo. He didn't do a full review of it, but he did a quick look. And you can get a much better idea of what this device looks like in a review rather than looking at Kanger's marketing materials. If you watch Phil's review, you'll see that it's pretty generic looking. Another drawback of this is that you're going to have to buy 5 new batteries for this, or you should, since you usually want to marry a group of batteries together so that they age evenly in your device. Now that's a pretty big drawback, I think, because 5 new batteries, that's nearly the cost of the device itself, maybe even more. And since you won't have any other 5 battery devices, these batteries will pretty much have to be dedicated to the 5.6 mod. I don't really think that this device is going to appeal to a lot of people, but if you want tons of battery life and the ability to use your device as a power bank, it might be something you want to pick up. All right, let's move on to the next topic. So Congressman Duncan Hunter proposes a bill to differentiate vaping from smoking. So Duncan Hunter is often referred to as the vaping congressman after he showed support for vapor technology by vaping during a House committee hearing in 2016. Hunter has continued showing his support for the e-cig industry, and he has now proposed a bill that could drastically change the way electronic cigarettes are regulated. In Hunter's bill, vapor products would now be seen more as a harm reduction product rather than tobacco. So his bill starts with a lot of information about the dangers of smoking, then discusses the benefits of quitting, how electronic cigarettes differ from tobacco, and how research has shown vapor technology to be not likely to exceed 5% of the harm that tobacco has. And there's a lot of positive research in here too. It really hits on all the important points. Following this information, Mr. Hunter's bill discusses the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act. On Section 3 of the original act, which discusses purposes of the act, Mr. Hunter proposes modifying line number 9 to include harm reduction. So currently it says to promote cessation to reduce disease risk and the social costs associated with tobacco-related diseases. The proposed change is that same line, but then adds harm reduction strategies. So now he wants to modify the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act to include harm reduction strategies, or at least put more of a focus on it. He further proposes striking mentions of the Center for Tobacco Products within the Act and replacing it with Center for Tobacco Products and Tobacco Harm Reduction. So he's putting a lot of focus there on harm reduction. And there's another line he wants to change. The term tobacco product does not mean an article that is a drug, a device, or a combination product. And within that, he wants to add e-liquid, a personal electronic vaporizer, or a combination product. So now he wants to directly call out that e-liquids and electronic vaporizers are not tobacco products. And he proposes other similar changes throughout the document. And he's also asking that a whole new chapter be added to the Act, focusing on defining what electronic vapor products are, mainly focusing on e-liquids and battery-powered devices. So within this amendment, he wants to add new manufacturing standards. 1 year after Hunter's amendments to the bill are enacted, he's also requiring that any e-liquids and vaporizers conform to specific standards, which will also be defined in Hunter's bill. So for e-liquids, he's recommending that manufacturers follow the standards recommended by the American E-Liquid Manufacturing Standards Association, which we often refer to as AMSA, which were originally defined in January of 2016. For vaporizers, Hunter is recommending manufacturing standards for batteries so that they conform to the standards of the International Electrotechnical Commission to take effect on the date of enactment of his bill. He's also requiring many other standards and safety protocols. He wants short circuit protections, discharge monitoring, which would prevent the battery from discharging below safe voltages, charge monitoring, which are safety protections for devices that have onboard charging capabilities, serial and lot numbers to be able to trace devices to a date and time of manufacture, tracking and recalls so that you can record shipments through the distribution chain to be able to enable product recalls, material standards so that they're only using approved medical or food contact grade products if e-liquid or vapor comes into contact with it. And he also wants the materials to be able to handle appropriate temperatures. So if this bill passes, all manufacturers must allow inspections of their facilities to meet these standards. If they're found to be in non-compliance, they have 90 days to correct it. And if they still fail to comply at that point, they may be ordered to suspend commercial activity. Hunter has also outlined a plan for the Center for Tobacco Products to assess tobacco and nicotine products and rate them based on their health risk. The categories that they want to focus on are cigarettes, loose tobacco or roll your own tobacco, little cigars, pipe tobacco, moist snuff, dry snuff, chewing tobacco, snus, vaporized tobacco using heat not burn technology, vapor produced by electronic cigarettes containing e-liquid with nicotine, shisha and other tobacco inhaled using a hookah water pipe or other type of pipe, dissolvable, chewable, drinkable, or other tobacco and nicotine products, tobacco and nicotine skin creams, patches, and other transdermal products, tobacco and nicotine sprays, droplets, and mists, or other nicotine-containing products. So those are all the categories they want to focus on. And this assessment is to happen no later than 18 months after enacting Hunter's bill. So as you can see, this is a massive overhaul of the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act, and it's to differentiate the difference between vaping and other tobacco products. Now, when the CTP defined vapor products as tobacco in 2016, regulators really had no choice but to force all of the same restrictions on vapor technology as they do on cigarettes. It's just the way the bill was written. But by defining e-cigs as a different product, electronic cigarettes would now be open to getting their own separate regulations. Now, this is huge. And in my opinion, this is what we need for the vaping industry. If we can get vapor products redefined within the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act, it would allow the FDA to regulate it outside of the strict regulations that are imposed on real tobacco products. Hunter is calling this the Cigarette Smoking Reduction and Electronic Vapor Alternatives Act of 2017. So keep an eye out for that. And I'd say, support it when you start hearing more news about it. All right, now let's talk about a research study. So the CDC released a study showing that vaping is the most popular product to quit smoking. The Center for Disease Control, or the CDC, released data from a study last week that shows that vaping is now the most popular cessation product for smokers. For this study, the CDC looked at data from an online longitudinal survey of 15,943 U.S. adult smokers, which took place from April 2014 through June 2016. Current smokers were identified as having smoked at least 100 cigarettes in their lifetime and currently smoking either every day or some days. The results showed that approximately 74% of these smokers had used multiple methods to quit smoking. The researchers looked at 10 different methods for quitting smoking. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them, but here are the top 5 in order of the most used in the last 3 months. So, gave up cigarettes all at once, gradually cut back on cigarettes, substituted some regular cigarettes with e-cigarettes, used nicotine patch or nicotine gum, or switched completely to e-cigarettes. Now, the study also mentions that this data doesn't say anything about how well any of the methods worked to help people quit. These are just the methods that people are using. Now, e-cigarettes aren't at the top of the list of methods, but they are on the top of the list as far as products go. At the very top of the list, you're going to find going cold turkey or gradually cutting back. Now, research has shown that these methods actually seem to work for many people, but because you're listening to me right now, you're probably not one of those people. And that's why we have e-cigarettes. Not one single method will work for everyone, and that's why vaping exists and why it needs to exist. For some people who haven't had luck with other methods of quitting, vaping might be what they need. At the bottom of the list, you'll find products like Zyban and Chantix and using a telephone quit line. That's not to say that those methods don't work, but I'd wager to say that it's because people don't want to use those methods or they don't believe it'll work for them. The CDC closes out the report by saying, given that our data shows that e-cigarettes are more commonly used for quit attempts than FDA-approved medications, further research is warranted on the safety and effectiveness of using e-cigarettes to quit smoking. Now, I think that's a great point to make, and why the government needs to consider looking at the benefits of vaping and the potential of its use for harm reduction. And I think this just goes to show that smokers who are looking to quit are looking for a method of quitting that they think will work for them, the method that they think will work best. And that's appealing, and that's what e-cigarettes are. Vaping is a method that feels a lot like smoking without the damaging effects of burning tobacco. That's what I needed to quit, and that's what many other people need too. Okay, so that's all I have for this week. You'll find the show notes for this episode on VapePassion.com. Just do a search for episode 66. If you want to support the show, consider donating to my Patreon page at patreon.com/VapePassion. You can follow me on Twitter at VapePassion, and I'm also on Facebook if you want to leave me a comment. If you like this weekly show, please consider giving me a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. You can also subscribe to the podcast version of the show on either iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play. If you'd like to get notifications of new reviews or of the show, you can sign up to receive my weekly email on VapePassion.com. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me anytime at alex@VapePassion.com. All right, I'll see you next week.